Feminists and their allies continually attacked gamers in Gamergate throughout November. But there wasn't much to say about Anita Sarkeesian, except for the Game Informer interview. I haven't read the article personally, but I imagine she expressed her usually inflammatory sophistry. In the December issue of Game Informer, they got a huge backlash from angry readers. The editor just couldn't understand why anyone would be upset. Here is a response to a letter sent to Game Informer criticizing them for only presenting Anita's Sarkeesian's viewpoint. We received plenty of negative responses to our interview with Ms. Sarkeesian, most of which were far too vitriolic to print. Even the civil letters seemed hopelessly preoccupied with discrediting her work in an attempt to invalidate or outright ignore her criticisms, because only the most meticulously vetted and incontrovertible opinions are allowed on the internet. What's even more insidious is the casual way that some readers question her motives, her credentials as a gamer, and, worst of all, the instances of harassment. For the record, the most recent death threats against Ms. Sarkeesian were sent to and reported by Utah State University. The threats are real, and not only do they support the argument that the gaming community can be inhospitable towards women, we will continue to take a zero-tolerance policy against any kind of harassment. You don't have to agree with Ms. Sarkeesian's opinions, but like everyone else, she has the right to voice them. In another comment on another letter, Game Informer says, "We don't understand why it's so controversial to discuss such a largely self-evident problem. You don't have to look very far to find plenty of examples of women in games being portrayed as helpless damsels in distress or over-sexualized athletes. Advocating for developers to create more diverse and thoughtful characters seems like a no-brainer. But not everyone appreciated the interview." This is another example of journalists compromising their ethics due to political views. Once again, this is an attempt to push a narrative that all gamers are bad and hate all women. Anyone disagreeing must be stupid. Anyone disagreeing must be against inclusion of women and minorities. It isn't just gamers that Anita hates. It's the entire patriarchy. So what is the patriarchy? I don't have time in this video, but it's important, so I'll let Sarkeesian explain. The annotation should be on this screen. If not, it should be in the description. Anita's producer/co-writer for Feminist Frequency, Jonathan McIntosh, was featured in a video in early December. It is titled "The 25 Invisible Benefits of White Male Privilege While Gaming." The video garnered a great deal of mockery. Responsibilities are pretty easy to find. My favorite should be on the screen as a two-parter right now. So, let's look at the bigger picture here. We have Anita Sarkeesian attacking gamers and then receiving threats, then going on a multi-month media blitz appearing in magazines, news articles, and even on the Colbert Report. This is really significant, especially the part about Colbert. Colbert's show ended this year. All of his guests were booked months in advance. To be able to get on his show indicates that she had a great deal of influence. I'm guessing it had something to do with Maya Kramer handling her PR. Why? Because Maya Kramer also handles PR for Zoe Quinn. So it's no surprise that each time they receive a death threat, they each get to go on TV and tell the world about it. Each time they are the subject of harassment, they are rewarded with donations. Silverstring Media is a small game company that considers itself to be feminist. Silverstring also employs Maya for PR, which is interesting because Anita Sarkeesian and Jonathan McIntosh are advisors for Silverstring Media. Even more interesting is that two games made by Silverstring were IGF finalists. Those games were Extra Solar and Crypto the Necrodancer. Anita Sarkeesian has a Feminist Frequency group on Steam. The group has a curator section of games recommended by Feminist Frequency. There are only 15 games as of the end of December. Crypt of the Necrodancer, Aquaria. This game won the grand prize for IGF in 2007. The Marvelous Mistake. This game was featured on all of the gaming websites that attacked gamers. It received positive reviews from The Guardian, Polygon, and Rock Paper Shotgun specifically. Broken Age. This game is made by Tim Schafer. He is very much against Gamergate and is a supporter of Anita Sarkeesian. Destructoid and Polygon gave the game positive reviews. Towerfall Ascension. This game was also an IGF finalist. It also won an Indicator. Papo and Yo. The creator of this game gave 2 talks at GDC 2014 San Francisco. The company that makes the game also supports Anita Sarkeesian. Thomas Was Alone. The creator is admittedly leftist. His game received positive reviews on Rock Paper Shotgun, GameSpot, Kotaku, and Destructoid. Where Is My Heart? IGF winner of 2009. Never Alone. Indicate finalist 2014. Gone Home. IGF finalist 2013. By now, assuming you're still listening, you are wondering how all this fits together, right? Well, I have 3 points. 1. Feminists are trying to take games for themselves. They are working hard to keep indie games part of a private clique. They control journalists and are willing to smear anyone that opposes them. The IGF is nothing but a farce. They give awards to whoever is the most buddy-buddy with the judges. The rotting cartridge proved that 100%. They weren't part of the clique, so they weren't taken seriously. Their complaints were ignored, their game wasn't properly reviewed, and they were just left in the dust. You can't even question these things without being labeled as a misogynist. 2. Toxic manhood, toxic masculinity, male privilege, patriarchy. These are all code words to disguise a hatred of men. Don't want to be perceived as a man-hating freak? No problem. Instead of stating you hate men, say that you hate toxic masculinity. Want to blame something on all men? Just say, it was the patriarchy. Did your male coworker get promoted over you? Must be male privilege. Anyone using these terms does so because they hate men. 3. While it is unfair to say that Anita fakes attacks upon herself, it is undeniable that she benefits from such incidences financially. So it would be in her financial interest to have such incidents occur. Speaking of finances, at the end of December, Anita announced that Feminist Frequency had gained 501c3 status. What does that mean? It means that Feminist Frequency is now classified as a charitable organization. This means that the thousands of dollars donated to Anita each year will now be tax-free. It also means that she has to conform to certain laws. I recommend Gamergate supporters familiarize themselves with the link on screen or the description, because she may already be in violation of the law. I'm not entirely sure. I'd like to think that using your charitable organization to promote games published by a company that you advise is a serious violation of interest, which is mentioned in that 501c3, but what do I know? I'm not a lawyer.